following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Nikki Spagnola.
And welcome to the greatest reality TV show ever, the National Football League. This is Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio. And if you watched Monday Night Football, it was all there. The story of the offseason, Aaron Rodgers finally landing with the New York Jets, and 4 plays into his Jets career, Aaron Rodgers goes down. They're facing the guy that I picked to win the MVP award, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen throws 3 interceptions, 3 of them by Jordan Whitehead, who's had no more than 2 in a season in his career. And the game goes all the way to overtime. And as Mickey would say, some guy named Xavier Gipson returns a punt for a touchdown. I get a text message from my daughter immediately saying, OMG, oh my God, Gipson. I loved him on Hard Knocks. And turns out Xavier Gipson out of Stephen F. Austin went to Woodrow Wilson High School in Dallas that produced 2 Heisman Trophy winners, Tim Brown and Davey O'Brien. And there you have it, the greatest reality TV show ever, the National Football League.
It's absolutely amazing, not only the way the game ended in overtime, but have a kid from down the street in Dallas,
who, by the
Texas.
way, is coming to Dallas, his hometown.
That's right.
Arlington AT&T Stadium to play his hometown favorite team, the Cowboys, on Sunday afternoon.
Woodrow Wilson High School. An undrafted free agent, by the way, there, Everson
That's how
Walls.
we make them, man. You guys, y'all will learn one of these days. Everything is bizarro world. We should be the top guys, and then the first-round draft pick should be the undrafted guy.
You find them everywhere.
That's right.
And he made the team because of his ability to return kicks, and he did it at Stephen F. Austin, and
He had 3 in college, right?
Yeah.
Returned for a touchdown.
for touchdowns, and they bring him on, and it was another Cavante Turpin story, basically. And boy,
And people wonder,
run.
how come the right in their backyard? He's probably here at Dallas Day. I don't know. How come the Cowboys didn't have this Xavier Gipson on their roster? Because they already have him on their roster.
There's only
Cavante Turpin.
Only so many little fast guys you can have, right? Unbelievable story. When he broke to the outside, I was looking at him going, oh my goodness, he's going to go all the way. And sure enough, boy.
And it was almost, well, not almost. It wasn't. I don't think the referees had it in them to drop a flag
For tripping.
It was such a dramatic evening.
That would spoil the reality TV show.
The reality TV show
you can't
comeback.
drop the flag here.
Yeah. So, and you talk about Josh Allen. I mean, we've talked about this in previous weeks, last year, about his turnover propensities, such as Dak was having last year, but no one spoke about it, and no one went over the entire off season about how Josh Allen is almost as bad as Dak.
I mean, he had 14 interceptions himself last year. Now, Dak played fewer games, but,
Right.
I mean, he is a guy that will take chances.
And he had some deadhead throws. I was like, "Ooh, what are you
Deadhead.
doing?" Or how about when you get a bad snap and you fumble it, and then you
twice.
try to pick it up and run? Just go down.
That is a double Dutch. That's
Right?
what you call a double Dutch.
Unbelievable. And then on top of all that, how many plays? 4 plays, 3 that counted. Aaron Rodgers probably done for the season. Who knows? Could be his career. With the early reports, when they say we're worried about his Achilles,
That
it's
means they
torn.
already know.
They already
Have
know.
you
Yeah.
seen the video of it?
yes,
Yeah, that's the Achilles.
I saw it. When I saw it, and they kept saying ankle. And
Hey, an ankle,
for
buddy.
someone that tore his Achilles, I said, I know what he just
They
did.
said that the calf muscle reacts a certain way. It looked like it
vibrated.
Yes, you could see. I don't know. Maybe I was just trying to see it
Yeah.
because they mentioned it.
It was hard
but
to tell.
But it did seem like his calf muscles seemed to. I don't know.
Like
Well,
it spasms.
Yes.
When
that's
the
what it
Dr.
seemed like.
David Chows of the social
right.
media world, they see one piece of footage of video of the injury, and they immediately say that's a ruptured Achilles. It usually is a ruptured Achilles.
Yeah.
And by the way, from experience, doctors know when you tore your Achilles. They don't need
Exactly. What am I
the MRI.
telling Noah about
confirms
the
what they-
flood?
The MRI knows, right? And they said they got to take an MRI. And when I tore mine, I asked the doctor, "Do we do an MRI?" And he goes, "We could, but we're wasting time and money." He goes, "You tore your Achilles." And so,
and as tight as your muscles were, Spaz,
yeah, that's right,
you were
boy.
like,
That was a
you're
big
world-class.
snap, right?
That's right. I know you heard it.
So that kind of changes things for Sunday at AT&T Stadium at 3:25, and I was thinking, as poorly as the Jets had been playing, and then to come back and win like that, I don't think that's good news for the Cowboys.
I don't think it is either. I think the best news is they may have spent so much energy, into this short
That's
week
the way I look
coming
at
up.
it.
Yeah.
The way I look
All
at it
this
is
emotion.
I think them coming back to win the game is good for the Cowboys.
It takes a lot out of it.
And
Yeah,
it's
it takes
also okay, yeah, and they take a sigh of relief, and then reality hits that okay, now we don't have Aaron Rodgers. They didn't have time to digest it at the time. They were playing a game, and they all have pride. They know that they prepared for this moment, but. Having said that, I mean, Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick in the draft coming out, and so, but there's somebody who thinks he's got potential.
Well, I'm sure he learned a lot
and
this
he's learned a
offseason.
lot probably in the
I
last
would
6
hope
months
so.
being alongside
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers. And you talk about taking care of the football, and that's what you got to do. Josh Allen proved that last night, and so, yeah, it changes the storyline before the game, but it's still a very talented Jets team that is coming in here. They built that team to contend this year.
Well, they have an awfully good defense.
Awfully good defense.
So I'm putting the Cowboys' offensive line on notice. That could be the difference here.
I'm sure the game itself put them on notice because you could see how well that defensive line
And I think
was playing.
the Cowboys, with their defensive front, going to give the Jets problems. They were having problems protecting up front. But then again, when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson that can catch a batted ball
That was
falling
amazing.
down backwards.
The second best touchdown
Right?
I've ever
That
seen.
ball was broken up. Poor Tre'Davious White, right? He got
Beckham first. That one second.
Same stadium.
Yeah.
different end of the
It
field,
was.
right?
Crazy.
Yeah, so
That's the first thing I thought of is, okay,
Good one.
OBJ,
Good one.
step aside.
Yeah. Not step aside, no.
No.
It's just a little less room back there behind it. That's all. Yeah, because that was close to being the best catch I've ever seen.
So we were gonna, go over
I came close to saying something.
what's that?
This is a man who has seen catches before.
Yeah, yeah, his own.
Hey, man, you're sharp this morning, man. Yeah, this is an early show, so I'm not quite there with
this
you
comes
yet.
from a man who has
That's
seen a
good
catch
job.
or two.
No, his was cool, but those were freaking amazing. No, his was amazing, but those were
Yeah,
physically amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
We're going to make sure that one goes down.
Right,
Step
right.
aside, Dwight
Oh, that's
Clark.
way across. That's way over there. No, that's way over there. I can pick some CD Lamb catches better than his, but not as important.
And Garrett Wilson, by the way, a Texan, Lake Travis High School.
Did not know that.
And one of those Ohio State guys. They've got a whole bunch of them coming out. Mickey circling things on his stat sheet.
Well, how many times do we see an NFL game where one quarterback finishes with a 62.7 quarterback rating and the other guy finishes with an 81.4 quarterback rating? And he won the game. So, Zach Wilson, he's in a situation now where this is your life, right? You got a shot now to prove that you were that pick in the first round, or forever hold your peace.
Mm-hmm. I think with him, it wasn't just about his failure as a player. It was his failure as a leader. No one on the team liked him. No one on the offense thought he was going to be a good quarterback at all for this team.
Right.
As far as leadership is
I
concerned.
bet they like him today.
And the stories that came out of there were he needed a slice of humble pie, and so he's had that now. And I mean, how many stories are there out there of guys who were humbled and they come back and make something?
Reminding
he does. Let's
You don't
be
get
real.
drafted. You don't get drafted. You get a slice of humble pie, don't you?
He ended up letting us know just how good their receivers are. They have some good receivers on their team, and there were a couple of times on those deep end routes where he put it on the money, and those guys were bringing it down. What was the rookie from last year? He was doing well. I guess it was who we were talking about.
Garrett
Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah. He came out. He's ready. That guy's ready, and he's not the only one on there.
Where did
pretty
Zach
hungry
Wilson?
for Zach Wilson.
Where'd Wilson go to college?
BYU.
That was BYU.
And the thing with him, in
He's
the
young,
COVID
too,
year,
man.
with Zach Wilson in the COVID year, of course, BYU being an independent at the time, now they're in the Big 12 conference, but they had to piece together a schedule again, so the schedule that he played wasn't necessarily a major conference schedule.
Right.
He had a
So-
Trey Lance college career, right?
Right,
Didn't you
and
say
so
that?
there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities there. Trey
Yeah.
Lance was, an FCS school that was very successful, and it also was an offense that ran the ball a lot. And so, Zach Wilson had all of those, pro day, he had the look of an NFL quarterback, but he didn't have the experience against high quality competition. Even the competition that BYU would normally face in a non-COVID year. So, now this is his second chance now, and we'll see. He was able to lead his team to a victory yesterday, and so now we'll see what he does in round 2 on Sunday against the Cowboys.
And let's be real now. I mean, as drama goes, this was a very dramatic game, but Josh Allen and the Bills, they really contributed a lot to this win for the Jets. And so if you give them that opportunity, they should come back and win.
I thought the one troubling thing I saw that the Jets could bring is they ran the ball awfully well. They finished with 28 carries for 172 yards, averaged 6 a carry. Now, a lot of that had to do with an 83-yard run by Breece Hall. But how about him coming back from his torn Achilles? ACL and first game back and playing like that.
And, of course, they added Dalvin Cook. They won the Dalvin Cook sweepstakes in the preseason. And Breece Hall was on the field for 17 plays and had 127 yards rushing and a 20-yard catch, too. So it counted for 147 yards on 17 snaps.
I'd be extremely surprised if they don't come out with run-first attitude.
Well,
which is what the Giants should have done.
And
they came out with a run-first attitude the first drive of the game, and then they abandoned it after that.
Right, yeah. And they abandoned it because on 3rd and 2 at the 8, it looked like they were going to throw the ball. And you just ran the ball all the way down the field. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And at that point in the game, you could have ran it twice, right? Go for it on 4th down. Don't kick a field goal, even if you come up short.
And I was telling people before the Cowboys played the Giants, the thing about the Giants, you go back to their Super Bowl years, we always harken back to 2007, and they just stayed in the game against the Cowboys in the playoffs. And they were in position to win the game in the fourth quarter. And that's sort of been over the course, when they've had successful teams, that's the way they've done it. And a lot of it is relying on the run, shorten the game. And so going into this game, I thought Brian Dable would have that same attitude against this Cowboys team.
You got your running back.
You got the running back in Barkley, and you just shorten the game. You run the football, and even if adversity hits you early in the game, you stick to that game plan, and then you're within striking distance in the second half. And they let the game get away from them because of their propensity to try to throw it all the time.
They ran the ball right down the Cowboys' throat. Now, a lot of it was Daniel Jones scrambling and that first series.
Well, that's
so
part
they're
of
only
their game
down.
plan.
They're only down 6-0, and they come back again with the ball after the missed extra point. Incomplete. By the way, Wanye Thomas breaks up the pass. They bring in this first kid playing his first NFL game. And it's like, oh, you go cover Darren Waller, okay? And he breaks up the pass. And they're going to, obviously, it's 3rd and 10. They're throwing again. And Micah Parsons sacks Daniel Jones. They go 3 and out. And it's like then the Cowboys come and drive right down the field and kick a field goal.
Contrast that to their first drive, and Daniel Jones did carry the ball quite a bit on that drive, but they started Barkley +5, Daniel Jones +8, a completion, and then Barkley +9, Barkley +5, and of course, on the course of that, they had the penalty against Curse for the late hit. They got him down into Cowboys into the field, and so they're still just running the ball down.
Breida for 6, Jones scrambles for 11. And then Jones runs for 8, and that got him down to third
and two at the 8-yard line. And who was lined up over Thomas, their Pro Bowl tackle?
Micah Parsons.
False start.
And he twitched.
3rd and 7.
He twitched.
Next play, the dribbled snap, loss of 14. Next play, field goal, blocked.
And see, that's stuff you do away from home. You know, when you're on the road, that's the kind of stuff you do. You make the mistakes down in critical moments.
Right.
But it was there for them, for the taking. And they just couldn't. And that was it. It snowballed. It was like, an avalanche.
And if anything else we learned at the end of that series is Igbenogany. He can run. And we can pronounce his name.
The commentators were practicing as well.
Right? Yeah. It's like right. We were in the press box and we go, oh, no, the guy's got to say his name now.
they kept, like we were doing last week, they kept like, okay, you got it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
Because the guys come to the PR department, early, hour or so before the game, and they go over the pronunciations. And I remember when that one came up and I heard the guy kind of struggling on it. And you're thinking, all right, he's just going to be special teams.
He's not going to do anything
that.
in the game.
Oh, my.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of Mick Shot.
An early edition.
So much more to get to, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we are back on Mick Shots. It is an early edition of Mick Shots, as Talking Cowboys will be at noon today, our normal time. And Mickey has the tie on as well. Reason we're going early, Gilbrandt's Memorial Service is this afternoon at 1 o'clock.
This afternoon, and I've got a couple TV things to do immediately after we finish here, so I figured I better come dressed for success.
You look good. You look good,
dressed
Spags.
for preparation.
You look good, man.
He's prepared for success.
That's right. That's right.
That's the first step towards success. And you were at a successful read there, so I think it's going to be a successful day.
Let's
in
go
television for you today, Mickey. All right, Jerry Jones was already on the radio this morning,
right?
And gave a little injury update on Tyler Smith, as well as Donovan Wilson and Jordan Lewis, and there's a chance.
There's a chance, I think. I think maybe I don't think Donovan Wilson, and I saw this, it was mentioned, somebody said, well, the Cowboys are going to be without, so-and-so starters, and they included Wilson. And I said, have you watched practice? Have you seen training camp? He hasn't practiced since the first day in pads. So, he's a starter, but he's not a starter. They had to do without him. And regardless if he practices this week or not, he's not going to play in the game. You're not going to send him out there for one padded practice after one padded practice, a month or so ago. And say, okay, go play. Got to ramp up, right?
That's right?
And that's what Jordan Lewis is doing right now. He's had a full week and a half of ramp up, but one padded practice. Now we'll see if after this week is he ready to go. But if he's ready to go, somebody's going to be inactive if they keep him active, right? And I was just looking at the snap counts. So on defense, Wanye Thomas played 41 snaps, 59% of the snaps. And Marquise Bell, 31 snaps, 44%. And his production per snap was pretty high, right? He had 8 tackles in the game.
When I came home, my son asked me, he said, who's number 14? I said, that's my dude, man.
That's Jabril Cox, right? Yeah.
Oh,
and he, and when the way they played their defense, those guys are going to play. So does Lewis, if he comes back, he's your slot guy, but the reason they brought in Igbenogany was to be an outside corner. And so somebody's got to sit if Lewis is active.
And it's someone who had a very productive performance on Sunday.
So maybe you slow play it and say, okay, give him another week. Just make sure he's definitely ready to go. And sort of as we were talking about yesterday with Nate, the same thing with Udoka. He wasn't a liability. So maybe you tell Tyler Smith, okay, let's really make sure about this.
Right.
It's a long season.
Right? And so I think that, they may, treat this thing very conservatively. Now, when a guy's ready to go, you go. There's none of this, well, we don't need him. You need everybody in every game.
Right.
But, you got to be smart about it.
We'll look at it this way now. First quarter of the season, first 4 games of the season, okay? You got one win under your belt. Now you're facing the Jets, and Zach Wilson's at quarterback. Then you got Arizona.
Who's at quarterback?
Josh Dobbs is at quarterback in Arizona. Then after that, you got New England, Mac Jones. Then after that, games 5 and 6, you got San Francisco and the Chargers.
Right.
On paper, the schedule strengthens in October.
Right.
With those 2 games.
So you got to kind of build towards it and make sure you're
you got to take care of business. You can't
assume anything.
Right, exactly. But this is where you can make hay here in the first month of the season.
Mm-hmm. You know, and here's what I liked about, and I got this question a lot yesterday. It's like, boy, that plane ride back must have been great. And I'm going, what do you mean? He goes, well, after a win like that, I said, those guys sleep. There's no big party going on back. And they treated it like we were supposed to go there and win this game.
That's right.
Right? And then when you know you're going to win, like start of the fourth quarter, you're already over it, right? You're probably on to the Jets at that point in your mind, right? So, yeah, there was no big celebration, and I was working, and so they were probably where most of the players are, other than the guys that get to sit in first class.
Who gets to sit in first class?
Well,
I knew Everson would have.
there's probably like 8 first-class seats available, 10, something like that.
You have
so the
veteran,
the veteran guys
that sit in first class versus coach.
Yeah.
You have players sitting in first class.
Yeah.
And some players sitting in coach.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, what does this society come to?
Tyron Smith,
Yeah.
Dak Prescott,
Yeah,
those guys,
yeah.
they get to sit in the first class seats.
Okay, so who's on the fringe? You know, give
By
me
seniority.
Give me somebody who's sitting in.
Well, I didn't see. I didn't see
You
everybody.
know who
I
it
know.
is,
I don't
man.
have the seating chart with me.
I want that chart.
So did Igbenogany get to sit up in
See
first
what I'm
class
saying?
on the
No.
way? He had a touchdown. He had
That's
the
already-
first-
that's already-
Do they have a
turning
seat
point
in
of the game?
No, they have a designated seat for like player of the game. Or
No,
something?
there's no
like employee of the
Well,
month.
Come on,
No,
man.
it's not like the
There needs to
sideline
be.
in college, right, where you have king of the play or whatever gets to sit on a
Wow,
throne or something.
yeah, he's got a tiara.
Anyway, they were probably, and there's a divider there, but they were at least
There's
five.
a divider too.
Wow.
You're dividing.
Well, yeah.
Do they close it when they take off?
No.
In
It's
the designated
it's a
restroom
flight
in the back
attendant.
versus first class.
It's a flight attendant station, guys.
Oh man!
Trying to be
wow.
silly.
This is crazy.
They're only
He's
like
driving a wedge throughout this entire
Five-
team.
That's why we can't win the doggone Super
Because
Bowl.
they're not all together?
That's right.
There's 16 seats.
16 seats. Thank you,
16
Chris.
seats, and it's by year of experience.
Right.
So just go on the list
And see who the
top
16 guys
are, and that's who sits there.
Yeah.
So then,
So the punter gets to sit
that's
up
what
there?
I'm saying.
Yes.
Correct.
And the long snapper.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
yeah.
he's.
Wait a minute.
I don't think he's top. He's only like 4 or 5 seasons.
But
Well, this is a young team.
Well,
He
before
might
the
be
4
in
or
there.
5 seasons, you had the
LP
the
got
veteran
to sit up there.
Yeah, the
LP
veteran was
earned
up
it,
there, right?
The what now?
The veteran, from 4 or 5 years ago, before
When
we got
LP
the
Ladisar was here, he got to sit.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
he did.
He got to sit
He
up.
was like 12 years.
He'd been around long enough. He got to sit in the cockpit.
It's not by importance.
All right.
No, we put Cook in the cockpit just in case we need him.
So anyway,
I got it. That's better.
they're not that far behind me, and I was saying I was working, and I didn't have to put my earpods in. There was no noise whatsoever.
Oh, that's
They're
why we started talking about
They're
this.
sleeping.
Yeah, who?
You know, they asked Jerry on his radio show this morning, he goes, well, after the game, did you go out in New York and party? And it's like, well, no, I got in my plane and flew home.
So, where do you use the restroom, front or back?
Whichever one's empty.
Okay.
You can go wherever you want.
Okay.
Well,
So
I don't go past.
you walk.
I don't,
you don't
go
go past that divider.
I don't
right?
go past
It's closed.
the front divider
curtains are
where
down.
the
You
coaches
Can't
are.
go. Okay.
There's 2 divisions of first class. Let's
Yes.
be honest with you.
Okay.
the
There's where the
front,
coaches sit.
and then there's the
Okay.
second
And I guess
segment,
that
which I think
might
is
be
more like a business.
old
And
business.
there's another
Like business. There you
bathroom.
go,
There's
Chris.
another
It's like the
bathroom in
business
the
part.
middle of the plane.
Yes.
And then there's one in the very back.
No.
Okay.
There's a
Well, some
bathroom.
planes are
This is
like
a
that.
normal American Airlines.
you guys act like you
777.
never flew
Jesus.
before.
No, man,
Well,
but
the plane-
this is the hierarchy you
last
got
time you
set
flew
up
on
here.
a
Plane I
plane?
was on in the preseason, there was a bathroom in the front.
It was
there was one
between
in
the
the middle,
coaches and the
then there was
players.
one in the very back.
Yeah.
All I wanted to know was who's first class and who's coach. That's all I was.
All I want to know
and
is
now
when
you
Mickey
know.
goes to the bathroom on the flight, does he go all the way? Does he
To
walk
the
through
back.
all those players back there?
No.
And then
There's a bathroom before you get to their
in
section.
business class. It's like business class.
No, it's in the middle of the plane.
it's the middle of the
That's
plane.
like
Just
Chris
like,
said.
that's
Have you
what I
guys
was
never
saying.
been on a big plane that's
I
like got a...
just didn't know there was a hierarchy in
So what if you really got to go?
Well, where did
and-
you sit?
in the back?
So you would not walk all the way
I
through
think
those
I
players.
was alphabetical, so I was W.
You learned your lesson probably like I did back in the 90s when Nate Newton, if Kevin Gogan and Nate Newton, if you tried to go all the way to the back of the plane and there's no way you would get.
No. There's a bathroom before you get to their section.
It was always a card game in the back. That's what we would do.
Well, when by the time we took off, it was 12:30, 1 o'clock. Yeah, there are many card games going on. There's some sleeping going on.
So who are the Nate Newtons and Kevin Gogans on this team? Wisecrackers.
There are none.
Guys that
no.
The media is not
really
around the
not.
player. The media is not around the players enough these days to establish those relationships,
right?
Where they give you a hard time.
I'm trying
It
to.
has to be Micah. It has to be Parsons.
No, Micah sleeps.
He sleeps.
Puts his hoodie on and goes to sleep. Yeah, he doesn't. He
brings his own pillow.
No one gives Mickey a hard time anymore, like the good old days.
No. There's some respect in this locker room.
All right, there it was, behind the scenes on the Cowboys charter, the stuff you don't get just anywhere.
And stuff that people really probably didn't want to know.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
I did too, but
okay.
yeah.
All right. We'll find something else off Mickey's legal pad when we come back here in a moment.
I forgot what we were talking about, actually.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this, because check out the latest and greatest addition to tours at AT&T Stadium and at the Star in Frisco. Meet Jerry Jones, an interactive experience. Get a peek behind the curtain and into the fascinating life of Jerry Jones with a focus on innovative fan experience in partnership with AT&T. This interactive technology gives tourgoers the opportunity to ask Mr. Jones a variety of questions. For more information and to book your tour, visit DallasCowboys.com/tours.
All right.
Nice.
So
Good
it's
to
one
see
of those, is it like
It's amazing how they do that.
Qualify it as an AII experience?
I think that's kind of what that is.
Where he answers a whole bunch of questions and you're able to ask them and
You know
it
what?
figures out what you just asked.
You know, on down the road here, maybe for next season, maybe there could be one of those for Mick Shots.
Mick Shots,
where you
right?
can actually you can be like in that seat right over there, and you can ask Mickey questions, like on Mick Shots. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Or if you want, you can do that.
That's right. You going to ask for phone calls?
Well, we could if you want.
888-855-2297. And the text line is 817-290-3298.
Do we have anybody following the text line?
Well, it's great that you bring that up because the next show is Nick Eatman in Storyline.
Right.
And that's what that show is all about. The opportunity to ask questions of Nick Eatman, what's going on with this Cowboys team.
Well, very soon, if it works out, we may just have somebody to monitor our text line for us.
All right. I look forward to that.
All right.
All right. The coordinators talked yesterday.
Yes.
And any day after tidbits, nuggets.
I'm trying to think. I heard most of John Fossil. We were taping a show kind of when that started. You know what? He ended up turning a kind of a downer into a good thing. That Brandon Aubrey, after he missed the first extra point,
right?
He said at least he had the poise to come back and hit 4 of 4 extra points after that, both field goals, and all 8 kickoffs were touchbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he felt like it was a good teaching lesson on how just because something goes wrong, it doesn't mean it's got to snowball. You got to reestablish yourself. And he felt like he said it was a weird setup because normally for the extra point after a touchdown like that, you go out there, you line up and kick it. He said, well, he had to stand there for 12 seconds before they spotted the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
There was sudden change
right
after the.
It was sudden change for the officials, too, by the way. But
so he was ready to go kick the extra point.
Yes, he was ready. It was he was too ready.
He
right?
was out there
because
too
you know what? He learned that. In training camp when they were doing kicks, like one after another, and
there's a rhythm.
He felt like after he would kick one, then while they were getting the ball back and getting everybody lined up, he would go back about 10, 15 yards and kind of get to himself and wait. And then when they got lined up, he would walk in, get his steps, and
That's
kick.
his routine.
That was his routine, right? Well, here he was ready to go, and he had to stand there. And he should have done what he did in practice, like, okay, let me go walk off to the side, and then when they get set, come back in, because I'm going to have however many seconds when they spot the ball.
And it was the first attempted point after or field goal of his NFL career. And so he had 12 seconds to sit there and think about that.
That's what I was thinking.
This is the first one.
You can be out here all you want in training camp. Nothing really prepares you. I don't care what you say. Nothing prepares you for the actual game itself. And just like, as Chris called them, LVE, I guess they're
you got
to he and Layton are good friends.
Yeah.
So LVE was talking about it. I mean, as much as you can go out there and knock the hell out of people, when it comes to game time, it's just a totally different
And you got to control your adrenaline, right? That probably was his worst kick since the first week of training camp. Because when he would miss, it would just sort of miss, or the wind would blow it. Now, that first week when they were having trouble with that wind, boy, he shanked one to the left. It would have hit Dave Campo in the head like that poor guy in Jacksonville that got cut the next day. But after that, his misses weren't, just like, oh, God, what was that? Sort of like the what's his name, Bass, the kicker for Buffalo, the 50-yarder to tie it. I mean, he hit that ball good, hard. It was good from 60, right? But it went straight, right at the upright, and then it bounced in. Lucky guy.
All right, you asked for it. You've got it. A phone call. Nick from Austin, the first phone caller of the season here on Mick Shots. Hello, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
I love y'all's show. I've been watching it since it started. Mick, you're awesome. Bill, same with you. And Everson, you're the man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the call.
we're not used to this, Nick, so forgive us.
Nick Spagnola in Austin. Appreciate it.
I got a couple things. number one, with these, Everson appreciates this, the back, the quarterback, man, they're really on it. They're going to be really a nightmare to deal with this season, I believe. And one thing I want y'all's opinion on is Bland. Boy, that guy is impressive. He seems to always be there. He's a guy that really hits. It looks like Diggs is taking a step up on tackling, which is really making me happy. The second thing is that I don't know how y'all felt about it, but I feel like the game was really out of hand by around the end of the third quarter. I felt like in the fourth quarter they should have, sat some more people earlier and gave Deuce a better chance to actually do something. I felt like he didn't really have much of a chance behind the line that he had. Because I felt like he was still going up against a lot of the Giant starters, and they had kind of a backup line. I mean, Martin was already out of there and everything. So I want to see what y'all thought about that.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, thanks for listening
Thank you,
and
Nick. Appreciate
calling
you,
in.
buddy.
By the way, Deron Bland ended up playing more snaps than anybody else did on defense.
Wow.
He ended up playing 55 snaps, one more than Gilmore and Diggs, two more than Curse. 79% of the snaps, and the only reason it was 79% is he probably came out towards the end of the game when they start putting the JV in there.
Mm-hmm.
That might be cruel, JV.
No,
The majority
okay
of the
with that.
backups
They are
got in
okay
there
with
for maybe the last two
Backups know they're
series.
backups.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Yeah,
They know they're
and that was fine, and they gave guys some snaps. Now you can't sit everybody on the offensive line because I think you only had 9 guys active after they called up Brock Hoffman.
By the way, Deron Bland, he started 8 games last year after Jordan Lewis went down.
Right.
So this was his 9th start of his NFL career. He's got 6 interceptions in his first 9 starts in the NFL. That's almost an Everson Walls pace to start a career. And you're right, Everson, that is not quite, because you know how many Everson had in his first 10 games?
How many?
10.
Ooh.
10 picks his first 10 games of his career.
Well, what the hell happened after that?
They finally stayed
They
away.
quit throwing
I'm
at
like,
you.
dude, I'm trying to show you I can play here. And they're like, okay, now we see it.
All right, we got another phone call.
And one more on Bland. He is tied for the league lead in interceptions over these last 2 seasons with his 6.
Nice.
Okay, go.
All right. I believe it was Fernando. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Fernando. Where are you? Miami?
Yeah, Miami.
All right.
Miami.
Well, what do you got for
It's
us?
an honor speaking with you guys.
Thank
This
you.
is, like cowboy gold here.
Yeah, we're old gold.
Old gold, yeah.
So I have 2 questions and for Everson. Everson, do you remember your rookie year when you were playing the Dolphins? And I think you were covering Jerry Harris, and David Woodley was the quarterback.
Yes.
Of the Dolphins.
LSU.
And I remember that game.
Mm-hmm. He had 2 interceptions that game.
Beat. What happened?
He had 2 interceptions that game, as a matter of fact.
Yes, but Jerry Harris was giving it to him.
Yes, he was.
And then at the end of the game, Everson picked it off in the end zone.
I remember that.
Game, now, obviously.
Right.
No, that was awesome.
No.
I mean, that
it was
game
not just Duriel Harris. It was the Italian. I can't remember his name. The little kid. God, I want to say Cephalo.
No, Jimmy Cephalo. Sure, Jimmy Cephalo.
Yeah, Cephalo got me.
Yeah,
He got me and Charlie Waters, split us down the middle.
He scored
for
a
an
touchdown.
80-yarder. I think that was like to begin the third quarter, and that's when we were like,
That's exactly.
Man.
It was a 69-yarder.
69
David
yarder.
Woodley to Jimmy Cephalo.
Yes.
That pulled the Dolphins within 1 at 14-13. Cowboys
That's
wound
when
up
we
winning
knew
the game
we had work to do.
By the way, he had been doing. I don't know if he still is radio for the Dolphins.
Does
by
he?
the way.
I saw him later on down the line. I think it was about 10 years later, and we talked about that game. Boy, we had a good laugh about it. Good
he
guy.
was on.
Okay.
And another quick question. In the 49er championship game, when the 49ers were driving down at the end, when Dwight Clark caught that touchdown,
I
was
quite
already
recall.
panicking.
We don't remember that one.
Yard line.
What was that
When
again?
did panic sit in? Were you guys starting to panic on defense?
Oh, it's no doubt about it. The panic came from the fact it wasn't that necessarily Joe that had us panicking. It was the fact that they started running the ball on our man-to-man defense. It was a brilliant move by Bill Walsh, and that's when they kind of outcoached us at that point because the drive didn't just consist of Joe versus to the wide receivers. It was also Linville Elliott and Roger Craig going around the outside and getting those key third downs.
All right, Fernando, we appreciate it.
All right, 2 good calls.
That was good.
We might have to do that more often.
I think we will do it more often. All right, we're out of time.
We got to start, vetting the questions better. Chris, ask him what he wants to ask me first before he.
We need to put him on a time limit. That's the problem. All right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah,
Mickey's got to go to work.
Mickey's got TV to do, and we will be back at our regular time at noon tomorrow on Cowboys Wednesday here at the Star in Frisco.
Go Cowboys!
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?